How to Make Your Money Last, the Indispensable Retirement Guide. This book was written by Bryant Quinn and was published by Simon & Schuster in 2017. The 4-book summary of How to Make Your Money Last will help you understand that by the time we reach retirement, we need to learn to manage our money differently. It will illustrate how and why it is necessary to adopt a more long-sighted vision of your finances while helping you develop a more pragmatic approach to money at this stage of your life. But before we get to the summary, let's find out a bit of background on our author. Bryant Quinn was born in Niagara Falls, New York in the late 1930s. She was a contributing editor for Newsweek, where she wrote a bi-weekly column for 30 years. Quinn retired from the magazine in 2009 and now writes a bi-monthly column for Bloomberg.com. Quinn has been an authoritative voice in finance for many years and has written several books on personal finance with economics and money management. She has also written personal finance columns for The Washington Post, Woman's Day, and Good Housekeeping. She has appeared on several television programs such as Good Morning America and CBS Evening News with Dan Rather. In the late 1990s, she helped develop Quicken Financial Planner software, which helps retirees and students better manage their finances and save money. Now let's begin our book analysis, starting with the first key concept. Retirement is a complex phase in our lives that requires a new way of looking at ourselves and at how we manage our time. When you retire, your place in the world suddenly changes. You have to build a new life, understand how you want to fill your time, and basically reinvent yourself. Everything around you and within you inevitably changes and forces you to adapt to a new reality. Retirement must be understood as a process, not an event. It is much longer and more complex than you might think, and this phase of your life deserves careful assessment and planning. Researcher Robert Atchley stipulates that there are 5 stages a person goes through after leaving work. The first phase is early retirement, in which you still work, but you are aware that you will have to leave soon, and you begin to reflect on what will happen next. The second phase could be classed as the honeymoon. This is when you get your first taste of freedom and are happy to have left the stress of work behind you and are impatient to do new things. People travel, spruce up their homes, and take long walks. Following this, a sort of cloud of disappointment tends to appear. The days begin to feel empty and people often feel a little disoriented because they have lost their role, their job, and sometimes their purpose. There is the realization, accompanied by a touch of anxiety, that your outgoings are higher than you thought. The penultimate step is reorientation. You feel ready to give your life some direction and start to look for a project that interests you. You might try a few new things and become aware that it's time to look at your life from a new perspective. The last phase of retirement is stability. You feel productive again and achieve a good balance. Although not without its obstacles, a new adventure has just begun. Retirement forces us to rethink our priorities and review our spending. When you retire, the financial choices available to you change dramatically. They depend on factors that you might previously have given little thought to, such as the state of your health, the age at which you leave your job, whether you are single or in a relationship, your partner's age, and any financial support you are providing for your children or relatives. In view of these important considerations, managing your outgoings is essential for you to enjoy a peaceful retirement. What is most important is to downsize a bit and to learn to manage your outgoings more carefully. There are people who save enough money to be able to avoid resorting to a change of habits once they retire, but these cases are quite rare. Most of us have limited incomes and have to give in to spending cuts. So the sooner you reorganize your life and take control of your outgoings, the faster you will achieve peace of mind. There are very few things that are more satisfying and enjoyable than financial stability, the feeling of being in control of your finances. When people are close to retirement, the first thing they think about are the numbers. They think something along these lines: when I earn this much, I can afford to retire. In reality, what matters most is the amount of annual income your savings can provide you for the rest of your life. The goal, in essence, is to manage your expenses based on the money you have. To do this, you need to set budgets and carefully choose your priorities. You can make an actual list and analyze what you spend your money on objectively. Without judging or being too harsh on yourself, your assessment must be rational and based on numbers. If you let yourself get carried away by your emotions, it will be very difficult to have a clear picture of your financial situation. You need a good overview of your income and to consider your partner in the financial decisions you make. To really enjoy this delicate phase in your life, it is useful to make long-term plans and have a general idea of all your income. For example, the author suggests calculating all your annual running costs, including taxes. Once you have done that, make an estimate of the annual income that you can expect from your pension. With this estimate in hand, you can add the value of all your other financial assets. These include mutual funds, shares, bonds, and savings. At this point, you can allocate a percentage of the total, say 4 or 5%, to the payment of annual unforeseen expenses. If you are married, you need to consider these things as a couple. In the United States, there are two main types of retirement pension, either involving a larger monthly payment that lasts for your lifetime and then stops, single life pension, or smaller payments that last for the lifetimes of both you and your spouse, a joint and survivor pension. Many people choose a pension formulated for singles even if they have a partner because it guarantees them higher monthly payments. Joint pensions for married couples pay lower premiums. Nevertheless, choosing a joint pension means guaranteeing a good income for the husband or wife in the event of the death or illness of the other spouse. Some policies pay 75% or even 100% premiums to the partner. Single life pensions can be a valid alternative if your partner does not depend on you financially or has their own substantial pension. Otherwise, it is always better to plan for the future and make the commitment to provide a dignified life for your partner in your absence. Start saving when you are still at working age to enjoy a worry-free retirement. When asked about money management, most retirees say that they have one major regret: not having saved enough during their working life. Certainly, when most people are at working age, they tend to think of their pension as a lifeline that will shelter them from absolutely everything, but don't count on it. As we know, the working world is increasingly unstable, and for the most part, our futures are unpredictable. It is absolutely essential to have a plan B in place. The basic gist of this plan is to get into the habit of saving as much as possible. Whatever your financial situation, you must make the commitment to save something for your future. Being thrifty and living within your means is the key to a less stressful life, both now and in the future. The author therefore invites you to join a pension fund when you are still of working age, which is not mandatory in the United States. When you decide to join a pension fund, your contributions are automatically deducted from your salary and invested in mutual funds. In the book, the author refers to the 401k plan, which is offered in the United States not only by companies but also by schools and non-profit organizations. The 401k plan provides for set contributions, which are plans whose maximum limits change according to the rate of inflation. It is an effective way to save money because money you don't see in your account is money you can't spend. People who are close to retirement tend to think that it's too late to join a pension fund because it's not worth saving money now that you will need in just a couple of years. The fact is that any money you save might be left in savings for years because life expectancy nowadays is much longer than years ago. Discussions about pensions and planning for old age should also include the size of your home. Focusing on issues related to aging and its consequences is never easy, but even though it might make you feel somewhat uncomfortable, there are certain things you need to think about. You should consider whether the home you currently live in will be suitable for you in your old age. Can you really imagine yourself growing old in the house you currently live in? Don't forget to think about assistance. Is there someone who can help you if you have any health issues? Where will your children live? Are there other family members who could offer you some support, or will you have to rely on external help? The key to everything, as always, is planning ahead. If, after careful consideration, you realize it would be better to sell your house, it's better to do it now than in a few years. When you are older, it will be more difficult emotionally to make such an important choice. The ideal scenario would be to buy a less expensive home and save or invest the extra money. But beware of maintenance costs, which could cancel out the financial advantage. Choosing a 2-room apartment that does not need any major renovation work can be the right choice for your finances. You might not like the idea at first, but it is often cheaper to put visiting children up in a hotel than to manage the costs of a bigger house. Ideally, you would pay for your new home in cash, provided that you have enough savings to cover your expenses and to support you in the coming years. If you are unable to buy a new house outright, you could give a 20% down payment and take out a mortgage to pay the rest. Long-term mortgages also make sense in old age because the monthly payments are lower. To prepare for the many challenges you can encounter during this phase of your life, it is useful to move in 2 directions, the first of which is foresight. You must try to look beyond your current needs and plan for your future as much as possible. The second of that is comparison. Talk to people who are older than you and who have already gone through these experiences, learning what you can from them without forgetting your own individual needs and still considering your own lifestyle preferences. This concludes the 4-book summary of how to make your money last. If you would like to find out more about the financial tip covered here, why not read the whole book? In the meantime, we have selected a few key quotes to sum up the overall message. It takes time to move from the worker role to the role of an engaged individual citizen. How long the transition takes will depend on your personal initiative and will. It's hard to be happy if you're always worried about the bills. Learning how to stretch your available income and right-size your life are the first steps towards retiring well. Successful retirement, whenever it occurs, turns out to be work of another kind. And now for today's take-home message. Retirement opens up new circumstances in our lives, for which it is all too common to be unprepared. Our lifestyles, habits, and acquaintances change, as does the amount of money we have available and how we manage it. We must learn to adapt to this new financial situation, which absolutely has to cover new and unexpected needs. In order to enjoy what can potentially be a very exciting phase of your life, you need to plan your expenses and learn to manage your savings well. This requires a pragmatic approach and learning to think in terms of accessibility and quality of life. With the right planning, by the time you retire, you will rediscover a new enthusiasm for this new phase in your life, and your relationship with money will undoubtedly improve.